I started indie game development 1 year ago. I started from scratch. I had zero experience, only ideas. I've made tons of progress in this last year, and for you, I have 5 tips to help you stay consistent and achieve your goals in your first year of indie game development. Tip 1, consistency is key. As long as you're doing something to further yourself to becoming a better game developer every single day, then you are better than you were the previous day. And this snowballs into something great. On average, I would make an effort to spend at least an hour a day learning something new. Now, this is not set in stone, right? You could spend some days 4 hours programming, and those are great days. You're going to have those days, but you're also going to have days where you don't even want to spend an hour learning. Maybe during these days, just watch a 10-minute video about game development. And as long as you've learned something new and you're better than you were the previous day, then you are going to eventually snowball into a much better game developer than you were from when you started. Now, I use websites like Udemy and YouTube to do most of my learning. This is for any engine development or just in general coding that you want to learn. And I highly recommend that you do both. You need to be a great programmer to be a great game developer. And that brings us into tip 2. You need to understand a programming language before you become a game developer. This is a necessary foundation. You cannot just get away with using Godot, Unreal, or any other engine and not understanding coding. You need to understand if-else statements, loops, classes, etc. in order to understand what exactly you're creating in these game engines. You cannot get away with this. Not only that, but what you learn in programming translates well into your game development programs. For example, if you're creating a user interface for an application, you are furthering your understanding of how to create user interfaces for your video games. Or if you learn SQL and understand how to store information in databases, you are understanding how to store your players' information if you make an online multiplayer game. Now, I recommend that you learn your programming language for up to about 6 months. Now, there is no exact time frame. It's just a matter of how well you learn. And what you want to do is you want to learn everything up until classes or object-oriented programming. And the reason why is because when you're using these engines to make video games, you are using classes in every single one. For example, when you create a player, you're actually creating a player class, and that class interacts with the world. So without an understanding of how to draw from that class, how classes work, you're not really fully grasping what your program is doing. Now, learning up until object-oriented programming will teach you everything else you need to know as far as programming logic goes. Now, if you want to use Godot, I recommend you learn Python as your language. The reason why is because GDScript and Python are very, very similar, and you're going to have a basic understanding that will take you into GDScript. Now, if you want to learn Unreal, I recommend C++. However, the syntax of C++ is hard to understand. So it's important to either work harder to understand, or you could learn a language like C or C#, even Python, to get you an easier syntax to understand programming in C++. Now, if you want to learn Unity, I recommend C#. And the reason why I recommend these languages is because 1, Python's close to GDScript, 2, Unreal uses C++, and 3, Unity uses C#. You can even use a bit of C# in Godot, but GDScript is evolving, and as more resources come out, it's easier to learn GDScript. And tip 3 is that there will be many ups and downs. Now, I'm sure right now you're very motivated, you have a video game project in mind, you want to create it, and you want to release it. But there will be many challenges. You cannot prevent this. Maybe you're not as experienced and you need to shelf the project and come back to it. Maybe you're demotivated, and that's all okay. It's okay to stop and come back to a project. Sometimes you just need to learn more about programming, and when you come back to your project, you'll have a better understanding of how what you wanted to accomplish works. Maybe you're just demotivated completely to program at all, and that's okay. You don't have to program every day. You can just watch videos. You can pick up a book. You can do anything as long as you're furthering your progress, little steps every single day. Even small achievements, like fixing a bug or watching a tutorial, will keep you moving forward. Step 4. ChatGPT is your best friend as well as your biggest enemy. Here's why. For example, ChatGPT can write a code for you. It could do math for you. It could debug your program for you. However, if you don't actually learn the code, you're hindering your progress. If you don't look through your code to try and find the bug, you're losing your ability to debug programs. And finally, there's tons of math in programming. And if you're not spending time to learn why this math works, you're hindering your progress. So what I recommend is, while you're using AI, ask it questions. Ask it to write this code for you, and then immediately afterwards, tell it to explain line by line what each thing does. If it uses a function you don't understand, ask it what the function does. If you want to learn math, ChatGPT is one of the best ways to learn math right now. You literally don't need a teacher at all. You just need ChatGPT. It creates questions for you. It's amazing. Think of it like this. I have the experience of a programmer that has been programming for 1 year. But with ChatGPT, I probably have the experience of someone who's been programming for about 2 years. So I make projects based off of what I should be making in 1 year by myself. And then I'll make projects using ChatGPT that are above my ability. And using both methods to learn, I'm actually becoming a better programmer. Tip 5, the final tip. It's important to take a step back and look at the progress you've made as you go. You may do this every 2 months, 3 months, etc. I do it about every 3 months. And the reason why is because when you get lost in the grind, you may feel like you're not making the progress that you should be making. However, if you take a look and see a program that you made on your first month of learning versus a program that you've made in your third month of learning, comparing the two, looking at the code, how it works, you're going to see insane improvements. This is something that you would never see if you've never actually taken a step back and looked at the code you've made in the past. My first ever project was a little console to do app. The code took me about 1 to 2 months to make. I was following a course on Udemy to make this, and so it taught me a lot. And moving on from there, I was able to make much better applications. Now, if I was to remake that to-do app today, I could probably get it done easily in a day. Very, very easily. Using C++ rather than Python that I originally used. Not only that, but one of my most recent projects is working in 3-dimensional space, creating a video game, and using a algorithm to generate a maze in that video game. That's something I never ever even thought I would be doing when I was making that to-do app and just trying to wrap my head around if-else statements. In conclusion, indie game development is incredibly challenging, but it's one of the most rewarding things that you can do. Just remember, Very important to stay consistent. You want to be a better person than you were the previous day. Not only that, but you need to understand the fundamentals of coding in order to become a successful indie game developer. Embrace the ups and downs. They're there. They're definitely there. Use AI tools wisely and make sure you're learning from them. And then take a moment to take a step back and appreciate the progress you've made and how close you are becoming to your goals. Thank you for watching. If I helped you in any way, please let me know. And let's grow as indie game developers together. Thank you for watching. Take care.